I had $74,000 in my bank account when I landed in Bangkok. 6 months later, I was sleeping on a concrete floor in Thailand's most overcrowded immigration detention center, accused of money laundering for a cybercriminal network I've never heard of. My name is Klaus Weber. I'm a 31-year-old software developer from Munich, and this is how my digital nomad dream became an international criminal investigation. The rain hammered against my Munich apartment window when I made a decision that would destroy my life. March of 2024, another 14-hour coding session for a fintech startup that created developers like disposable machines. My girlfriend Lisa had just moved out. "You love that computer more than anything real," she'd said. She wasn't wrong. At 31, I earned 68,000 euros annually, but Munich's rent consumed 60% of my income. 2,100 euro monthly for a converted office building apartment, saving maybe 300 euro after expenses. At that pace, I'd be 50 before affording a decent place. The startup culture was toxic. Endless sprints, impossible deadlines, and a CEO who thought work-life balance was French. We built a cryptocurrency platform promising to democratize wealth, but only investors got rich. Then I discovered Code and Coconuts, a YouTube channel where a British developer worked from Bali beaches and Bangkok rooftops, earning my salary while living in paradise. His Thailand expenses, $800 US. Mine in Munich, 3,200 euro. The math was seductive. After our March product launch crashed spectacularly, the CEO blamed me for architectural failures. That night, watching sleet turn to snow, I bought a one-way ticket to Bangkok for 847 euros. "Klaus, you're making a mistake," my manager warned. "Germany has stability. Thailand is chaos." But I was done with German stability. 45% taxes and 15 euro cocktails. And founders treating developers like code monkeys. I sold everything. Transferred my 62,000 euro savings to Wise, and by April 1st of 2024, walked through Suvarnabhumi airport with naive confidence. The humidity hit like an oven door, but I was euphoric. After 5 years of Munich winters, I was finally free. My first month felt like mainlining pure possibility. Studio apartment in Ekamai, 12,000 baht, or $330 monthly. Less than a Munich weekend hotel. Rooftop pool, 24-hour security, 5-minute BTS walk. The co-working scene delivered everything promised. Hubba Toe membership, 4,500 baht, or $125. For unlimited coffee, high-speed internet, and a community of escaped corporate prisoners. Within a week, I found freelance work. Time zones worked perfectly. Munich hours, 2 to 10 p.m. Bangkok time, left mornings for exploration. 45 euro hourly rate, with German companies paying premium for European quality code at Asian prices. I earned 3,800 euro monthly, while spending 800 euro on living expenses. For the first time ever, I was saving real money. 3,000 euro monthly into investments. Early retirement by 35 seemed possible. Bangkok's energy was intoxicating. Sukhumvit at midnight, Times Square meets Blade Runner, Neon Thai script, 2 a.m. satay vendors, tuk-tuks weaving through impossible traffic. Pure chaos theory that somehow worked. €3 cocktails with panoramic views that cost €20 in Munich. Chinatown street food better than Michelin restaurants for €5. Phuket weekends cheaper than German nights out. The nomad community embraced me immediately. Sofia from Barcelona, Marcus from Stockholm, Elena from London, all building consulting practices in tropical paradise. Europeans pay 50% taxes to live in boxes, Marcus said during sunset drinks at Octave. We pay 5% taxes in paradise and complain about too many massage options. Thailand's tax situation was incredible. As a tourist, I owed no Thai income taxes on foreign revenue. German obligations minimal as a non-resident. I kept 95% of earnings instead of Munich's 55%. By May, I'd found sustainable magic. Morning Muay Thai or Benjakiti runs, afternoon client work in air-conditioned spaces, evening exploration or balcony sessions watching controlled chaos below. My Instagram made Munich friends jealous. Laptop setups overlooking temples, beach trips cheaper than Berlin dinners, rooftop developer meetups like Hollywood sets. Early life metric improved while expenses dropped 75%. But paradise often comes with hidden costs absent from YouTube breakdowns. The message that ruined my life arrived Tuesday morning in early May. A LinkedIn DM from David Chen, CTO of Bangkok fintech startup, TechFlow Solutions. Hi Klaus, I'm impressed by your full stack background, particularly payment systems and cryptocurrency integration. We're a fast-growing Bangkok fintech looking for senior developers, interested in discussing an opportunity that could significantly increase earnings while maintaining nomad flexibility. Perfect timing. Freelance work was good, but client acquisition was time-consuming. A local startup meant steady income, visa sponsorship, and meaningful work in Southeast Asia's booming fintech sector. David's profile looked legitimate. 200 plus connections, colleague recommendations, professional headshot suggesting serious experience. The website showcased a modern Ceylon office, enterprise client testimonials, and mission about democratizing Southeast Asian financial access. Thursday's video call showed David in a modern Bangkok office. Glass walls, city skyline, workspace making Munich startups jealous. Well-spoken, professionally dressed, asking technical questions demonstrating real software architecture understanding. We're building next-generation payment infrastructure for Southeast Asian markets, he explained. Think Stripe, optimized for local banking, cryptocurrency integration, cross-border remittances, Series A funding from Singapore VC, scaling rapidly. The challenges sounded fascinating. Real-time processing, multi-currency support, 6-country regulatory compliance, blockchain integration for transparency and fraud prevention. Exactly the complex, meaningful work I'd hoped to find. Base salary, $4,200 monthly, plus equity and performance bonuses. Work permit sponsorship, visa support, hybrid flexibility, 3 office days, 2 remote. Employee number 15, real growth opportunity. $4,200 exceeded my freelance earnings with visa sponsorship, health insurance, and equity upside. Seemed too good to be true, but Bangkok's startup scene was booming. International companies paying premium for European talent. The second interview featured founding team, supposedly Stanford MBAs from Goldman Sachs and McKinsey. They showed detailed roadmaps, acquisition metrics, expansion plans looking professionally prepared. Everything felt legitimate. "Would like you to start Monday," David said after our third call. "Contract and work permit paperwork coming today." I should have been skeptical. Should have researched thoroughly, visited the office, asked for employee references, wondered why Series A startup recruited aggressively through cold LinkedIn messages. But I was 31, living in Bangkok paradise, offering $4,200 monthly to build fintech in one of the world's most dynamic cities. The opportunity felt like validation that my Munich corporate escape was exactly right. I signed that weekend, sent passport information for work permits. Monday morning, I was supposed to report to Ceylon for onboarding. Instead, Monday brought 2 uniformed Thai immigration officers to my door at 6:30 a.m. The knock was police official and impossible to ignore. I stumbled to the door in boxers, expecting maintenance or misdirected delivery. 2 Thai immigration officers in crisp uniforms, expressions making my stomach drop. Behind them, Detective Somchai from Cybercrime Investigation Bureau. "Klaus Weber?" the lead officer asked. "Consulting official documents?" "Yes. Is everything okay?" "You need questioning regarding TechFlow Solutions employment." "Employment? I hadn't started yet. Supposed to begin in 3 hours." "There's been a mistake. I signed a contract but haven't started working." "Get dressed," Detective Somchai interrupted. "Bring passport and work documents. We need to discuss your illegal financial operation involvement." Illegal financial operation? Hit like a physical blow. 6 weeks in Thailand. Nothing but German freelance work and Bangkok exploration. The only financial operation was the legitimate fintech job starting that morning. TechFlow Solutions is registered, I insisted, pulling them close. "I have a signed contract." "Mr. Weber, we've investigated TechFlow for 3 months. It's a front for international money laundering. Your name appears as a suspected technical operator." Technical operator? Never been to their office, never met anyone, never written code for them. "That's impossible. I haven't done any work. Starting today." "Our investigation shows $2.3 million processed through accounts linked to your information. Documentation shows you as cryptocurrency exchange technical administrator for money laundering operations." $2.3 million. Cryptocurrency exchanges. I'd never processed anything larger than my €3,000 monthly freelance payments. At the station, they showed evidence freezing my blood. Bank statements with wire transfers from European accounts to Thai banks. My name as beneficiary. Cryptocurrency exchange records showing wallets registered to my email. Chat logs from encrypted apps where someone using my name discussed moving money through development projects. "This isn't me," I repeated, staring at terrifying official documents. Someone stole my identity. But Detective Somchai had more. TechFlow internal systems screenshots showing user accounts with my email and administrative privileges. Employment record showing I'd worked since January, 2 months before arriving in Thailand. Salary payments totaling $37,600 over 4 months for cryptocurrency integration services. We have evidence of your involvement in sophisticated money laundering processing over 15 million through fake technology companies. You provided technical expertise for cryptocurrency exchanges, laundering proceeds from gambling, romance scams, and investment fraud. I felt like drowning. None made sense. I'd only accepted what seemed like a legitimate Bangkok startup job, but somehow my identity was woven into an international criminal operation I'd never heard of. The interrogation lasted 14 hours. They wanted to know about programming skills, cryptocurrency understanding, German fintech connections. More evidence, emails from my accounts I'd never written, technical documentation with my digital signature, photos supposedly showing me in criminal meetings. By evening, I understood. Someone had created an elaborate fake identity using my information, employment history, and credentials. They'd used this stolen identity to recruit me for what I thought was legitimate work, but was actually cover for unwitting money laundering participation. The job offer was real. The company was real. But TechFlow wasn't a fintech startup. It was a sophisticated criminal enterprise specializing in plausible money laundering cover stories. They recruited real developers for technical credibility while using our identities to process illegal funds. We believe you may be an identity theft victim rather than willing participant, Detective Somchai said as darkness fell. But until we prove that, you're still a suspect in major international criminal investigation. At 10 p.m., they transported me to Suan Immigration Detention Center. My digital nomad paradise had become a legal nightmare, threatening everything I'd built. Suan Immigration Detention Center exists in its own hell circle. Nothing prepares you for being processed into Thailand's most notorious overcrowded facility. Intake was methodically dehumanizing. Multiple angle photos like a zoo specimen, fingerprints, cataloging every possession down to shoelaces, iPhone, laptop, wallet, apartment keys disappeared into plastic bags with ID numbers I'd probably never see again. Detainee number 5247. Thin mats, metal cup, stern, broken English warning. No fighting, no drugs, no phone, no problems. My cell was designed for 12, but housed 18. Air thick with humidity, body odor, and institutional disinfectant fighting losing battles against human desperation. Concrete walls wept condensation constantly, creating greenhouse effects, making breathing feel like drowning. Cellmates were Dmitry, Ukrainian crypto trader caught in similar identity theft, Ahmed, Pakistani construction worker whose employer confiscated his passport, Ivan, Russian tourist caught with drugs, Robert, a Chinese businessman accused of visa fraud, Linus, an American teacher working without permits. First time, Vladimir asked as I stood overwhelmed. Grown men sleeping inches apart on concrete floors, sharing space inadequate for large family living rooms. Yeah, hopefully last. This is all a mistake. I'm just a software developer. Vladimir laughed, not unkindly. We're all here by mistake, friend. But mistakes in Thailand last very long. Daily routine was soul-crushingly monotonous. 6 a.m. wake up to guards banging metals on door. Breakfast, rice porridge, barely enough calories for survival. Then 14 hours sitting on concrete, playing cards or staring at walls wondering if you'd ever see freedom. 155% capacity operation, according to whispered conversations between long-term detainees. Designed for 1,200, now holding over 1,900. Overcrowding affected everything. Bathroom access, 5 minutes maximum. Showers, 3 minutes lukewarm water. Medical care, essentially non-existent. Mental health, rapidly deteriorating. How long have you been here? I asked. 14 months. Case keeps getting postponed because court backlogs. Lawyers said maybe 6 more months, maybe 12, maybe longer, said Linus, the English teacher. 14 months hit like physical blows. 6 Bangkok weeks total. And spending over a year in this concrete box felt like death sentences. Ahmed had been there longer, 18 months. Construction employer took passport, didn't pay salary, called immigration when I complained. Now waiting deportation, but Pakistan doesn't want me back because I owe money. Psychological pressure was immediate and crushing. Every morning hoping someone would announce identity theft resolution, real criminals caught, normal life return. Instead, same routine. Terrible food, overcrowded cells, growing realization that Thailand's legal system moved glacially. Dimitri became my closest friend. His story eerily similar. Recruited for seemingly legitimate blockchain development, discovering unwitting money laundering participation. They use our real skills making fake companies look legitimate, he explained during late-night conversations. We think we're building startup payment systems, really processing money from gambling, romance scams, investment fraud. How many people are caught up? Hundreds, maybe thousands. They target experienced European, American, Australian developers. People with good reputations who won't ask too many questions about Asian business practices. The more I learned, the more I understood the operation's sophistication. Not crude scams, elaborate, multi-layered criminal enterprises exploiting global remote work and digital nomadism. The more I learned, the more I understood the operation's sophistication. Not crude scams, elaborate, multi-layered criminal enterprises exploiting global remote work and digital nomadism trends. The worst part wasn't physical conditions, terrible as they were. It was psychological warfare of uncertainty. No one could tell me detention length, formal charges possibility, or normal life return chances. Thailand's legal system seemed designed for maximum anxiety and minimum hope. By my second week, I'd lost 8 pounds from inadequate food and constant stress. My German efficiency mind couldn't process systems where cases took months or years. Evidence disappeared, corruption was rumored but unprovable. Don't think about time, Vladimir advised. Think about each day as complete. Yesterday finished, tomorrow doesn't exist. Only today matters. But nothing only about today meant confronting reality. Trapped in Thailand's most overcrowded detention facility, accused of crimes I'd never committed, with no clear freedom path. After a long time of waiting, Detective Somchai visited with news completely rewriting my understanding of what happened. Mr. Weber, we've investigated tech flow solutions since January. What we've discovered is much larger than simple identity theft or money laundering. He placed a thick folder on the metal table. Inside were photographs, bank records, chat logs, and organizational charts painting criminal sophistication pictures I'd never imagined. TechFlow is part of an international network operating dozens of fake technology companies across Southeast Asia. They specifically target experienced European and American developers living abroad as digital nomads or seeking remote work. The evidence was staggering. TechFlow wasn't just one fake company. Part of a criminal enterprise operating 47 different startups across Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and the Philippines. Each had professional websites, fake executive LinkedIn profiles, and compelling Series A funding and rapid growth backstories. They've successfully recruited over 300 developers in the past 2 years. Most had no idea they were participating in money laundering operations. The recruitment process was methodical and sophisticated. Criminal organizations identified skilled developers through LinkedIn, GitHub profiles, and digital nomad forums. They'd spend weeks researching targets, employment history, technical skills, financial situation, personal interests, before crafting personalized job offers seeming too good to refuse. Your profile was perfect for their targeting criteria. Senior full-stack developer with payment systems experience, recently relocated to Bangkok, active on digital nomad social media, financial pressure from high European living costs. They'd monitored my online activity for months before contact. My blog posts about Munich's expensive rent, GitHub repositories showing cryptocurrency integration projects, Instagram photos from Bangkok co-working spaces, all used to build psychological profiles informing recruitment strategies. The initial job offer was generated by artificial intelligence, trained on successful recruitment campaigns. They used machine learning, identifying which salary, benefits, technical challenges, and company culture combinations would most appeal to someone with your background. But the really sophisticated part was how they'd stolen my identity, creating criminal cover stories. Using my personal information, they'd opened bank accounts, registered cryptocurrency exchanges, and created fake employment records, making it appear I'd worked for their operation since January. They needed real developers with legitimate credentials, making their money laundering operations appear authentic to financial institutions. Your identity provided credibility for processing millions in illegal funds. The organizational chart was like Fortune 500 companies. The operation employed over 80 people across 6 countries. Recruitment specialists identifying targets, technical teams building convincing company websites, identity theft specialists creating fake documentation, financial experts designing money laundering schemes, and customer service representatives maintaining relationships with unwitting recruits. The sophistication is remarkable. They operate like legitimate businesses, complete with HR departments, performance reviews, and employee benefits for criminal staff. Their annual money laundering revenue, over 150 million US dollars, amount processed using my stolen identity, 2.3 million over 4 months. Victims who'd lost money to investments, romance scams, and gambling operations using their fake companies for laundering, over 50,000 people worldwide. Mr. Weber, we now understand you were a victim, not a criminal participant, but identity damage will take months or years to fully resolve. Even though I was no longer suspected of intentional criminal activity, I still faced serious legal consequences. Thai immigration law didn't distinguish between willing and unwitting illegal employment participation. I technically worked without proper permits, regardless of whether I'd known the work was criminal. You'll be deported and banned from re-entering Thailand for 2 years. We cannot press criminal charges because you were clearly a victim of elaborate deception. But immigration violations require mandatory deportation. My victimization scope was almost impossible to process. I hadn't just fallen for one scam. I'd been systematically targeted by an international criminal enterprise specializing in exploiting people exactly like me. Digital nomads, remote workers, freelance developers living abroad, we were all perfect marks for sophisticated identity theft and recruitment scams. Currently, there are 23 similar cases in Thai detention centers. We estimate hundreds more across Southeast Asia who don't yet realize they've been recruited by criminal organizations. The investigation took 8 months, involving a cooperation between law enforcement agencies in 6 countries. Thai police worked with German BKA, American FBI, British NCA, and Australian AFP, mapping the criminal network's full scope. We made arrests in Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore, but the organization is international and sophisticated. Many leaders operate from countries with limited law enforcement cooperation. The final twist was that my Thailand detention had actually protected me from further victimization. The criminal organization had planned using my identity for increasingly serious money laundering operations, potentially involving terrorist financing and arms trafficking. Being arrested inadvertently saved me from becoming implicated in much worse crimes. Mr. Weber, you've been a victim of one of the most sophisticated criminal operations we've ever investigated. Your experience will help us protect other potential victims and build cases against the people responsible. But knowing I was a victim rather than criminal didn't change my immediate situation. I was still trapped in an overcrowded detention center, facing deportation and 2-year Thailand ban. The deportation process was bureaucratic, purgatory, even after Thai authorities confirmed I was a victim rather than willing criminal participant. Despite being cleared of intentional wrongdoing, I still faced mandatory deportation for immigration violations and 2-year Thailand re-entry ban. My case required coordination between Thai immigration, German embassy officials, and various law enforcement agencies, still using my experience as evidence in ongoing investigations. What should have been simple deportation stretched into weeks of additional detention while officials processed paperwork and confirmed my identity hadn't been compromised in other criminal operations. The German embassy took my case seriously once they understood the criminal operation scope. Consul Anna Friedman visited me in detention and helped coordinate my release with Thai authorities. Mr. Weber, what happened to you is part of a pattern we're seeing throughout Southeast Asia. Criminal organizations are specifically targeting German citizens living abroad, particularly in the technology sector. The embassy has been tracking 17 similar cases involving German developers recruited by fake companies for money laundering operations. My experience was actually helpful to the broader investigation into how these criminal networks operated. When I was finally released from detention in late June 2024, my Munich apartment had been sublet, belongings in storage, and freelance clients had moved on after I disappeared for months without explanation. The flight home to Munich was a big relief. I was returning to Germany as a deportee with no job, no apartment, and no prospects. But at least I was free. The first months back in Munich were harder than Thai detention, because at least detention had the excuse of extraordinary circumstances. Back in Germany, I faced the reality that I'd made increasingly poor decisions, destroying everything I'd built professionally. I moved into a temporary furnished apartment in Munich's West End district. €1,200 monthly for a space smaller than my Bangkok apartment, costing 4 times as much. Finding work was challenging. My GitHub contributions had been inactive for months. LinkedIn showed employment gaps difficult to explain, and references included a startup founder who'd fired me and a criminal organization that had used my identity for money laundering. "Where have you been for the past 6 months?" potential employers asked. "How do you explain being detained in Thailand's most overcrowded immigration facility because criminals stole your identity to launder money through fake fintech companies?" It sounded like either elaborate excuses for poor employment decisions or evidence of questionable judgments about international business opportunities. I eventually found contract work with a Munich-based consulting firm specializing in cryptocurrency compliance for financial institutions. The irony wasn't lost. My experience as a cryptocurrency-related money laundering victim had actually given me insights into financial crime valuable to legitimate companies trying to prevent it. Part of my recovery involved becoming a fraud prevention advocate. I started writing about my experience on Medium and giving talks at technology conferences about how criminal organizations recruit developers for unwitting money laundering participation. The response was overwhelming. Dozens of developers contacted me with similar stories, some who'd narrowly avoided suspicious startup recruitments, others caught in similar scams in other countries. The problem was much larger than I'd realized. As I write this story in late 2024, 6 months after my Thailand deportation, the criminal network that destroyed my life was still operating. Despite international law enforcement cooperation and multiple arrests, the organization had simply adapted methods and moved to new locations. Detective Somchai stayed in contact as the investigation continued. The criminal enterprise scope was staggering. Over $400 million in money laundering operations across 12 countries, involving more than 2,000 unwitting participants who thought they were looking for legitimate technology companies. The organization has evolved, Detective Somchai told me during a November 2024 video call. They're now using artificial intelligence to create even more convincing fake companies and recruitment campaigns. The latest operation version used AI-generated LinkedIn profiles, deepfake video interviews, and blockchain-based payment systems, even harder for law enforcement to track. They'd learned from mistakes, leading to TechFlow Solutions investigation and improved operational security significantly. My experience had helped law enforcement understand their methods, but hadn't stopped them from continuing to victimize new targets. The operation's international nature made prosecution difficult, and criminals could simply move to new countries when law enforcement pressure increased. Through encrypted messaging apps, I'd connected with a network of other developers recruited by the same criminal organization and facing legal consequences in various countries. There was James, a British developer detained in Malaysia for similar cryptocurrency-related identity theft. Sarah, an American programmer who discovered she was unwittingly processing money for Philippines romance scams. Michael, a Canadian developer recruited by a fake Vietnam AI startup, actually laundering money for online gambling operations. The total victim number was impossible to calculate, but law enforcement estimates suggested thousands of developers worldwide had been recruited by similar operations without realizing they were participating in financial crimes. As I write this in late 2024, nearly a year after my Thailand deportation, I've managed to rebuild some normal life semblance in Munich. I have steady consulting work, a decent schwabbing apartment, and I've even started dating again. A software project manager named Christina, who finds my story fascinating rather than alarming. But the experience has fundamentally changed how I view technology, international work opportunities, and digital nomad lifestyle risks. I've learned that the same technologies enabling remote work and global connectivity also create perfect conditions for sophisticated criminal operations to flourish. The harsh but important lessons I've learned. Research everything obsessively. Don't rely on LinkedIn profiles, company websites, or video calls to verify international job opportunity legitimacy. Demand current employee references. Visit offices in person before accepting positions. And verify business registration through official government databases. Never trust opportunities seeming too good to be true. If startups offer significantly above market salaries with minimal credential verification, it's probably because they're not legitimate businesses. Real companies have extensive hiring processes, not urgent recruitment timelines. Protect your identity aggressively. Criminal organizations are sophisticated about collecting personal information from social media, professional networks, and public databases. Limit what you share online about financial situations, employment history, and location. Maintain emergency funds in accounts that can't be compromised. I should have kept significant savings in German banks harder for criminals to access. Centralizing everything in digital banking apps made me vulnerable when identity was stolen. Be extremely cautious about social media legal services. If you find yourself in legal trouble abroad, work only with lawyers recommended by your embassy or official legal aid organizations. Criminals specifically target desperate detention center people vulnerable to expensive scams. Understand legal risks of working abroad. Research visa requirements, work permit obligations, and criminal penalties for immigration violations before accepting international positions. Ignorance isn't a defense, and even unwitting illegal activity participation can have serious consequences. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong about job opportunities, employers, or business arrangements, investigate thoroughly or walk away. My German engineering mind wanted to believe detailed explanations and professional presentations indicated legitimacy, but sophisticated criminals can fake those easily. Stay connected with home. You may need help from family, friends, or government officials if things go wrong. Isolation makes you vulnerable to exploitation. The broader lesson is that the digital nomad lifestyle, while offering real benefits, also creates vulnerabilities that sophisticated criminals know how to exploit. The same factors making remote work attractive, location independence, flexible employment arrangements, minimal bureaucratic oversight, also make it easier for criminal organizations to recruit unwitting participants in illegal operations. Thailand is still a beautiful country with amazing opportunities for legitimate remote work and entrepreneurship. Bangkok's energy and creativity are real, and thousands of digital nomads live there successfully without falling victim to criminal organizations. But my experience reveals a darker side of the digital nomad movement, rarely discussed in YouTube videos about passive income and location independence. Criminal organizations have learned to exploit the hopes, ambitions, and vulnerabilities of people seeking alternatives to traditional employment, and they're incredibly sophisticated about it. The TechFlow Solutions network that destroyed my life is still operating under different names in different countries. They continue recruiting skilled developers who think they're joining legitimate startups but are actually providing technical credibility for money laundering operations. As I write this, Detective Somchai has informed me they've identified at least 30 other developers currently working for fake companies operated by the same criminal organization. Most have no idea they're participating in financial crimes, just like I had no idea until Thai immigration officers knocked on my apartment door. If you're considering remote work opportunities in Southeast Asia, please learn from my mistakes. The opportunities are real, but so are the risks. Do your research thoroughly, verify everything independently, and remember that if an opportunity seems too good to be true, it probably involves criminals very good at making illegal operations appear legitimate. My digital nomad dreams are gone. My clean criminal record is permanently compromised by Thailand deportation. But if sharing my story helps even one person avoid similar victimization, then perhaps some good can come from this nightmare. The hardest part isn't the financial loss or damage to reputation. It's the knowledge that I was systematically deceived by professionals who understood exactly how to exploit someone like me. They knew what to offer, when to offer it, and how to present criminal activities as legitimate business opportunities. Paradise exists, but it's often just a beautiful trap, waiting for the unprepared. Stay vigilant out there. Klaus Weber, Munich, Germany. Thank you.